James Bailey Grissom.
For our audience member, in the event of a fire, you can exit the building to your right, take an immediate left, down the stairs out into the parking lot, or to the rear. Well, you'll hit a platform one step down the stairs, and out onto the town green.
Board members first.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the benefit of our audience member, just quickly give you a brief summary of how we're going to conduct business tonight. Secretary will read your legal notice. Come before us, state your name and address for the record. You have an opportunity to present your application. The board may or may not have questions of you. If there are any other members in the audience, we'll open up the floor to them. Vote to discuss in favor or against your application. If there is anyone in the audience who does speak, then you will have final opportunity to make your comments. Additional information that you may have with you that we may not have in our packets. As long as your public hearing is open, you can present them to us. Once I close your public hearing, we won't accept any additional information. Comments made by the public that are not relevant to the exercise of the Commission's statutory regulatory authority will not be considered by the Commission in reaching its decision. Once your application's been presented and the public hearing's been closed, we'll most likely will vote on it tonight. So you'll have an understanding of where your vote is, but you will receive confirmation from the town. Pardon? Did you get all that? Okay. And for the record, a variance can be granted where such grant will not affect the overall purpose of the zoning ordinance, and where strict interpretation of the ordinance will result in a hardship. A hardship exists where the zoning ordinance uniquely affects a parcel of land differently from other properties, and where use of the property or reasonable use of the land would be impossible without the variance. Self-imposed or financial hardships cannot by law be considered as a reason for granting a variance. Madam Secretary.
The MTO Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, September 24, 2012 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. ZBA 2012-9-01, Jeffrey Bowers, applicant owner, 4 Broadbrook Road, map 101, lot 211, R33 zone, requesting a modification to allow an accessory structure to be placed forward of the rear line of principal structure, EZO section 3.30.783, dated the 11th day of September 2012, Mary Ann Turner, Secretary, Journal Enquirer, September 12th and 18th, 2012.
Okay, please come forward.
Anderson.
Just make sure the red light's on your microphone.
Yep.
Don't do what I did.
Am I allowed to sit down? Name's Jeffrey Bowers of 4 Broadbrook Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
Thank you. What can you tell us about your application?
I'd like to put up a 20 by 30 budget-minded steel building to store some classic vehicles I have.
Pull your mic in a little closer.
No problem. Did you get that? Or do you want me to
Got it.
repeat? Okay. If you've toured the property, the easiest access would be to the right side of the house due to the hills in the front and on the side. The only way to access the backyard would be to drive across the front yard, around the house, over the sewer and water lines to get to the backyard to where I could build a building. I also like to build it there mostly because it's a 20 by 30 building and it would be blocked by tree lines on both sides and the visibility from the street would be minimal.
Questions of the board?
How do you plan on, I went out to the property on Sunday. How do you plan on accessing it from the street?
From the right side of the driveway, there's about 18 feet before the retaining wall is, so I would essentially just drive from the driveway on the right side over that little hill.
I do remember it being.
Yeah, there's
bit
a
of
little hill, but that one's tolerable compared to the rest.
So you had no intention of coming in from the street side?
No, it would be from the driveway.
Where's the sewer?
I believe it is on the, if you're looking at the house from the street, it's on the left side of the house. I'm not sure exactly how far forward or backwards of the left side of the house, but it's on the left side of the house.
I noticed that you were parking in your backyard.
Yes, I am. I park the vehicles that I don't use the most in the backyard during the summer and the ones that I store for the winter in the backyard to try to minimize how much I drive on the yard.
On your plans, you show, and I've been to the property, I was there this afternoon, as you know, you show 60 feet existing behind where you plan on placing your shed. Why could you not put that shed further back where you wouldn't need a variance? Why are you bringing it forward?
I brought it forward because the hillside comes in a taper from the right. It's kind of, the property line's kind of, if you're looking at it on the visual, it's kind of a triangle in the back, and it has an incline that goes uphill with a lot of pine trees. So it would be a lot of work to do that.
You're not going to take those big pine trees
No,
down?
I actually want to leave them there to block the building from my house. If I ever do have a wife, I'm sure she's not going to want to look at a 20 by 30 building. She's already got to accept 6 classic cars. So it's not visible from the street, or I should say minimal visibility from the street. You would only have about a 4-second window at traveling at that speed to actually see the front of it.
I'm not talking about the ones that are on the side. I'm talking about the ones further back where your pop-up is.
No, I do not plan on removing those.
But if you did, you could move this building back.
I could, but I believe the property tapers in at that distance from the right. The property's not a perfect square. It tapers to the left.
It's difficult for me to know that because when I went out and measured it, if you moved the building back somewhat, you could get it behind the sight line plus further back.
Okay.
Any other questions? I noticed you have, your plans show that you have a shed in the backyard, but I also noticed you have 2 other buildings back there.
Yeah, I have temporary car enclosures. 2 of them.
One of the openings, actually the portable garage that's behind your permanent garage has an opening facing Water Street. What goes in that temporary garage?
In the wintertime, I store one of my classic cars in there. In the summertime, I put my work truck, which I only use maybe once a month.
And how do you access it?
Well, because it's the truck, that one I can actually drive over that hill that drops down where that building is. There's a large hill, but that truck has enough ground clearance to go up and over that hill.
And what about the other vehicle?
The other vehicle I do drive around the yard, but I drive that car very, very minimally.
Whether or not this is granted tonight, you understand that those temporary garages are not permitted?
I am now. I was under the impression they were considered a non-permanent structure or a temporary structure, so.
I need to go back to the depth of the property. And it's difficult to use the outline that you have in front of me, but I believe if you just push the building back your problem is you won't need to be here.
Okay.
And it may be an issue with your trees, but, you know, but that doesn't make it a property hardship.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you need to move the ones on the line. Do you understand?
I follow what you're saying.
Have you considered taking down those trees that separate where you want to put this in the garage and just adding to the garage? Then it could be up as close as you wanted it to be because it could be attached to the regular house.
I have not considered that, honestly, due to the amount of money and how much that house is worth.
Let me have a typography map. Right here.
Pages is on.
Can you
832.
clarify,
32.
you had stated that you couldn't move it back because the backyard tapers in?
Yeah, I apparently must have done my math wrong or something because when I went to town hall and read the records, it looked to me as if my property line is where that hill actually starts to go up on the back, and about 4 feet behind my shed is where the property line runs across. So I didn't believe I actually owned enough property going back that far that if I cleared that land and those trees, I would be able to do that.
But it appears that even if you move this building that you're looking for, if you moved it back, you would not be as far back as your shed.
Trying to think now. Where I have it now, the back wall of that building would be at the first pine tree past the house. I think at that point is about a 10-foot difference from that pine tree to where that shed is located, the front wall of that shed. So I'm trying to math.
Is this drawing to scale?
To the best I could. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I apologize if I did something wrong.
Which page are you on, Peter?
I'm on this 829. And also 832.
Right, we'll go this way. Just to clarify that I have this right, Chairman, he needs to get this behind the back of the house,
No,
behind the back of the,
garage.
that's where I was looking at.
that's the back part of the building.
Okay.
Primary structure.
That's where I was.
It appears the porch is a little farther in depth than the garage. If you look at the aerial on A32. By maybe a couple of feet. That's the point he needs to be behind. Whether it's an inch or a foot, doesn't matter, as long as he's behind it. And if I look at the aerial again, his garage depth is 24 feet.
Right.
His building's 30 feet. The distance between the back of the garage and the front of the shed is more than the distance,
Right.
the depth of the garage. You follow me?
I missed that part.
From the back of the garage
here
to
to
the front
here.
of the shed.
Here to here.
Is less than there to there.
Is less
Well,
than the
but-
whole depth of the garage.
But if you're looking at this back shed back here, the property goes there. The property does slope up.
But not, if you're over here,
Yeah, I'm with
here's
you.
what I'm saying. You have this distance, which we know is 24 feet.
Right.
We have the front of the shed. The 24 feet is less than the distance between here.
And the shed
And the shed.
beginning, right?
Right.
I'm with
No,
you.
I got you.
So
Okay.
he needs a 30-foot, so he needs 6 additional feet. So if he's over here, even with the back, and he's doing a 30-foot depth,
It should come up just halfway past.
should hit that last pine tree.
Right. No, I got you.
Right, and I know there is a slope goes that way. It doesn't. I measured it, but I probably didn't measure it as far as that.
Well, slopes can be cut and filled.
Right, but
Need be.
but again, it was hard to tell where the property line was, and it wasn't mine to decide. It was just other options.
Well, then again, if you look at
Not a shed.
A7,
A7.
where his existing, or where his future garage is gonna be, he's showing 10 feet to the property line.
Yep.
And based upon this drawing, that line runs square back.
And, right, but because I believe he said he did this,
Okay.
and looking at the map we got, it looks like it's square.
And it's an accessory structure, and staff, it only has to be 5 feet off the property. And he's showing 10 feet, so he still has an additional 5 feet to play with.
That way. Yeah.
If this is to scale, he wouldn't even hit that back
He wouldn't.
pine tree.
No.
He would be 15 feet away from it.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I'm all set.
I've got nothing.
Nothing. Okay, thank you. You may have a seat in the audience. As there is no audience, we will not open up the floor to the audience. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Well, first, public hearing is hereby closed. Motion to approve by
Marion.
Mary Ann, seconded by
Me.
Mo. Discussion.
I think there's some other options. I don't have an issue with him wanting to put the structure where he wants to put it. I just think he can figure out a way to get it there. And again, it's not my place to tell him he can have a smaller one or whatever, but there's some options there.
Any further?
Yeah, I think unless that is explored and then deemed not to be adequate, again, we need to make sure that we give variances where nothing else is feasible. And this may be a viable option just to move it backwards 20 feet, and he's got enough room to be in compliance.
And I don't have an issue if we table it long enough
To
for the
find out.
applicant to go back and look at that, find the pins, find the slope, understand the depth, consider if the trees are a hindrance or not, and then come back and tell us what he found out. I don't want to go in a direction that denies or
Is there a
approves it.
motion on the floor?
There's a motion on the floor. I make a motion that we, can I say postpone?
Continue.
Table.
Continue this to a future meeting, the next meeting, so that he has an opportunity to go check on those items.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion?
I think that's a sensible idea. I mean, we have the survey map, so clearly there's been something done within the
Right.
last 30 years. It would be easy for somebody to flag the pins and
Okay.
give them a feeling.
All those in favor? Okay. Your application's been tabled until our next hearing, which will be the end of October, the last Monday in October. It's the board's consensus that you need to do some more homework. We don't have enough information here. Our feeling is that you can still move that back farther without a variance. So if you can get that information through the town, staff will work with you in the town. You need to find out where exactly your property lines are, see if you can locate some pins. You may have to have it surveyed, but you need to come back to us with more information. Okay. In your package, you have the minutes of July. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Andrew. Discussion?
The minutes got to me too late. I get pretty busy, so I really need the minutes to come in a more timely way. I understand there was an issue. I didn't have time to really thoroughly read them, so I need to abstain.
Okay.
And I feel that if we all didn't get a chance to really read them, that probably we table them to the next meeting.
Okay, as Lynn was at our July meeting,
Right.
she'll be voting on the minutes tonight.
Nope.
Any other discussion?
It's the sitting members of tonight, not the sitting members of the last meeting. They have to be a voting member tonight.
Well, okay, let me clarify something. Minutes, approval of the minutes are majority vote?
Yes.
Majority vote, okay. 4 members voting. 4 regular members voting. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
You voted? Oh, missed you.
Jenny?
First of all, before I forget, everyone, please keep your documents from Broadwood Road for the next meeting so that we don't have to recopy them, all right? Important to do that. First, I'd like to welcome Jake Keller, our new member. You should have gotten the resignation from Mr. Limo as he was on another board and doesn't have the ability to support 2 boards. He stepped down from zoning board of appeals, and we now have Mr. Keller with us. Next month, I will give you the dates for the 2013 meeting so that we can discuss them during our meeting. Sorry. I'm always telling everybody, turn your mics on, and I forgot. As I said, Mr. Keller's our new member. We're going to keep our correspondence from Broadbrook Road for the next meeting, and I'm going to provide you in the next packet with the meeting dates, the proposed meeting dates, which you will discuss for 2013. This gives you adequate time to look them over so that I can get them to the town clerk for posting for next year's calendar. Let's see. Bear with me 1 minute. You have the notice of action in your correspondence from Planning and Zoning's meeting of August 9th, and you have a memo from me with just a handout of my log so that you'll know what I'm doing. And I think that sums it up, unless the board has anything for me to research for them.
Thank you.
We have a letter here from Chief Alimo
Yes.
that has been removed and taken care of. Did they get a building trailer permit or
Oh, I apologize.
however that was done?
I apologize. The packet was put together a while ago. That trailer that had been behind the fire station, as you know, had been removed. And Mr. Alimo, Chief Alimo, brought in the paperwork withdrawing the fire station's request for a temporary trailer on town-owned property. It was stamped in. Hopefully you all got a copy of it in your packet. No, I apologize.
The only thing we received was a letter stating that it was the ZBA application had been withdrawn.
Correct, that's all I have.
So,
I don't know what the next step is. Apparently, they've decided not to pursue it. The fire district, has decided not to pursue it. I'm not sure. Do you have a question?
No. I know they were looking into a construction type trailer
Yes,
for.
I brought the file down with me tonight in case anyone had a question, but it's my understanding, based on what was submitted to me and stamped in the planning office, that they no longer wish to pursue a variance for a temporary trailer for their members.
Okay.
Any other business from the board?
Is this the right time to bring up the agenda for the training?
Yes.
You would like to?
You folks received, I think you did, a Land Use Academy has some training on November 10th. This one sounds kind of interesting, that might be of interest to us to attend. It's about it's a little long, hopefully they'll talk faster, but it talks about bias and predisposition and conditions and modification, kind of stuff that's important to us to understand. I'm suggesting we attend. I have already given them my,
Did everyone get an email on it?
yeah.
Yes.
It's a Saturday, so, and it's at
Jake, make sure
Central.
you give Ginny your email address.
But I'm just kicking it out there if anybody else wants to go. I think there are some folks from Planning and Zoning or maybe Inlands and Wetlands that may attend, but we may want to consider it.
I have signed up for it as well. There is no deadline, but if you all could, if you have your decision tonight, that would be great. If not, if you could either email myself or Jose Geiner. If you do email Jose Geiner, please be
emailed
sure and
it to us.
CC me on it. All right?
Oh, Central. It's close.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
You kidding? Half an hour meeting?
Not even.